workaround chips, but is that enough to offset the export impact given China contributes 20% of data center revenue? Lastly, you got some gaming weakness. AMD fell 5% quarter over quarter in September. They're expecting a decline in the December quarter. What does that mean for NVIDIA? Expect stock reaction, though, given the average one-day post-NVIDIA earnings move over the last 20 quarters is 6% in either direction. And movement from the Magnificent Seven as well, given NVIDIA AI demand commentary will be a tailwind for the group. Scott.
All right, we can't wait. Christina, thank you for setting us up for that. So I turn it back to Mike Santoli. We've got about 90 seconds left in the show. Stacey Rascon, very top of the broadcast, said, well, there's still a lot of material upside ahead. Don't think they can't continue to raise.
Yeah, that is, and that's in the numbers. We're getting into the.
Yo, let's go. We got NVIDIA earnings. What's good? It's going to determine a big market move. There's nothing but upside from here. I wish I could show the stock chart. We'll show the stock chart right after the earnings, after they're done reporting. It is still holding VWAP. It is at all-time highs. It's pretty much at all-time highs. It's at 500. It's gonna be big. All right, let's hear what they got to say. Welcome back for a second stream. Let me know if you guys can hear the audio.
What the angle of ascent is in terms of sales and how long that demand pipeline is.
Mike, that's what this whole AI game's been about, is making a massive, massive bet on the future and hoping that these companies are going to realize what we're bidding them up to believe they can.
Yeah, and how long the build-out takes.
Yo, good luck betting against artificial intelligence. Good luck.
All right, Dow's going to go out modest loss, really across the board, modestly in the red. I'll send it into OT now with Morgan and John.
Range bound and down as the S&P and NASDAQ snap their 5-day winning streaks. That is the scorecard on Wall Street. But the action is just getting started. Welcome to Closing Bell Overtime. I'm Morgan Brennan with John Fort.
Good to have you back. NVIDIA front and center this hour as the quintessential example of AI-driven gains gets ready to report earnings in just moments. The stock hitting fresh highs this week ahead of the print. We've got a great lineup of experts ready to parse the report.
Plus, we'll talk to the CEO of $100 billion medical device company Medtronic. Getting a pop today on the back of results and perhaps easing some of the fears around weight loss drugs eating into medtech market share.
Eating in, I see what you did there. Major breaking news in the crypto world today. Binance chief CZ pleading guilty to federal charges, stepping down from the firm. We're going to talk to Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong about the news in a first on CNBC interview. But as we watch for NVIDIA's results, let's get to the market action. Stocks paused today with tech leading the pullback. The S&P and NASDAQ snapping 5-day win streaks. Fed minutes signal no appetite for cutting rates soon, favoring keeping policy restrictive. Mike Santoli joins us from the New York Stock Exchange. Mike, more of this as, again, not a ton of selling, but, not a ton of buying either.
No, it seemed like a pretty decent little pause day. I do think the market could use a breather. This is a really benign way for it to happen if this is, the mode of just kind of backing and filling a little bit. I do think that what's key, out of the Fed minutes is that the bond markets are nothing particularly to react to because they're not trying to put a December hike back on the calendar. This is a patient Fed. They want to be done. They think they have the ingredients for being done. And we can go on this assumption that the recent decline in longer-term Treasury yields, which has really helped the stock market recover, is based on at least.
Hey, so what do y'all think? The market breaks out or breaks down? Breaks out or breaks down? Put it in the comments. Throw it in the comments. Do we break out? Do we break down all-time highs? I mean, the Qs are pretty much at all-time highs, but does NVIDIA shake out higher or lower in after hours or nothing? Or is it neutral? Do you think we go neutral, higher, lower? Higher, lower, neutral? What do you guys think? Higher, lower, or neutral?
Tech names have really driven the gains we've seen in the averages more broadly this year. The expectations are very strong going into this.
Very high. Obviously, the index effect is real, and it's pretty profound when it comes to these, $1.2 trillion market cap company like NVIDIA, $2.8 trillion like Microsoft. That being said, NVIDIA went up 240% this year, and the average stock's done nothing. So I don't know which way NVIDIA moves after the close today necessarily is going to be, the cue ball for sending all the other stocks in various different directions. But for risk appetite's sake, for this idea that we have a secular growth story to believe in and play in AI and the hardware demand for it, I think that all matters quite a bit. I think the real kind of benefit of the last couple of weeks is that the problem parts of the market have come off the mat. They've not led, but they at least are not looking like they're poised for multi-year breakdowns like small caps as they were a few weeks ago.
Okay. Mike, stay close because we're going to come back to you in just a little bit. Let's continue the conversation with our panel, though. Joining us now is Barbara Duran of BD8 Capital Partners and Scott Wren of Wells Fargo Investment Institute. Good afternoon to you both. I mean, stocks took a pause here. This rally took a pause here. Barbara, Bespoke tells me that three-week rallies in the S&P and NASDAQ are the largest since the first half of 2020. Do you take profit here?
Yo, by the way, General Motors just signed an agreement. This was a little earlier with agreement with Tesla China and announced that its EVs will be able to access supercharger networks in the Asian country. So basically the Ford's EVs in China are now going to be accessing supercharger network. Tesla even further swallows the competition. No homo.
In this market. And I think the NVIDIA, we'll see what happens there. But I think, you asked Mike the question if you think that would affect market psychology, and I think it can, because I think we're in the midst of a major chase here, and that's to get positioned into year end. If you saw last week what happened to Palo Alto, the stock was down 20 points on some misunderstanding or confusion about their billings, but the stock has recovered all. People are racing to get back into good names. So I think NVIDIA is reflective of a psychology that we're experiencing right now. So I think after a little more pause, we could see resume higher.
Yeah, Scott, I mean, the Fed minutes, if there was one takeaway, it's that it continues to lean towards higher for longer. There continues to be caution. There continues to be a data-driven nature to the Fed. But even as we see that today, you're starting to hear the D word tossed around a little bit more, whether it was PPI last week, whether it's been in some of the retail earnings we've gotten so far, and the D word being deflation. Are we entering a deflationary environment in real time here?
Well, Morgan, I think for goods, we've been there in deflation. But the question is services. And so for us, inflation is going to be sticky in terms of services. The message higher for longer, that's not anything different. We don't want to chase this rally from here. The opportunity was a few weeks ago when the market was down near 4,100. So I think pullbacks are good spots to buy. We think the market's going to be higher than where it is now a year from now, but we're definitely not chasing this rally. We think the Fed is going to be higher for longer. We're going to see a volatile market. So for those people who missed the last pullback, we think you're going to get another opportunity at least.
Okay, so we talked a bit about equities. Barbara, how should investors use?
You also have Weiss Crypto. I don't know who that is. I'll look them up. Weiss Crypto that just upgraded Chainlink to an A rating. That makes Chainlink one of the only two cryptocurrencies in our A rating along with Bitcoin. So now Chainlink is with Bitcoin and Ethereum as a ranked crypto. We'll see who Weiss Crypto is. I'll try to figure out if that's just more FUD or if it's a real valuation there. But it's real. Let's go.
But for me, it's a supplement to my basic stock.
How much does the jobs picture influence how much the consumer spends and how healthy this economy looks through the end of the year and maybe even trickle through to market sentiment?
Well, John, I think, if Americans have jobs and money in their pocket, they're going to spend it. And so, we're going to see that until the unemployment rate works its way higher, which we think it will. We all know that credit card balances are really high. And I would argue, and we would argue based on our research, that, only the very top end of the income scale really has cash to spend. The lower, let's call it 80%, they're pretty tapped out, whether it's credit, whether it's cash. So we don't see a lot right there. It's the top end carrying things. And so the Fed would, they're not going to tell you this, but they want the unemployment rate higher because they want less spending in the economy. That's going to help inflation and those kinds of things. But, in the near term, when you've got a sub 4% unemployment rate, when you have Americans with money in their pockets, they're going to spend it.
So, Barbara, where would you be putting money to work right now? What looks compelling in this market especially given the fact that we have seen this recent rally?
Well, I think that people have been talking about healthcare. Healthcare is cheap. It has defensive and growth qualities. And so that you can look in there. United Healthcare is a name I have liked for a long time. I think the tech right here is hard to buy at this particular moment, but I think it's long-term going to continue to outperform. So I think you have to wait for some pullbacks. But I think in the near term, there is a lot of chase going on. And I think you look at small caps, although it can be hard to buy because if you want to buy individual names, you really have to have an expertise there. And so, and also I think you look at the regional banks. That is assuming if you think rates are going to be cut in the first half of next year, which I think there's a growing probability that.
Okay, so Weiss Crypto Ratings provides ratings for cryptocurrencies evaluations. They're founded in 2018. They released the world's first cryptocurrency ratings agency. So it's a rating agency, significant influencing cryptos. And they got Chainlink ranked as a tier. So it is not an altcoin according to them.
Mixed sentiment. This is the price target, consensus price target, not far from 700. Actually, I guess it's more like 655 or 670 in that range for the price target, implying 30% upside from here. That rarely happens for a stock that's already trading at or near its highs. Usually that's when a stock goes down a lot and there's a stale consensus price target up there. So it's pretty safe to say that the sell side is pretty aggressive, expecting a lot more reasons to raise their sights on earnings for this stock. Now, take a look at the market cap. I've tracked NVIDIA versus Tesla for a long time. They seem to feed off of a similar source of energy in terms of the secular growth themes, companies that are going to save the world. You have these sort of Pied Piper, visionary CEO types in each case. Together, they're $2 trillion. But right now, they've flipped $1.2 trillion and change for NVIDIA, a little under $800 billion for Tesla. And that was the reverse over here. So it's sort of like the same amount of market cap being bet on these twin themes. They've just sort of flipped at this point. On a given day, they also are the two stocks that trade the most dollar volume. They have the most call option volume. So there's just a tremendous amount of kind of energy and directional excitement around these names. And so we'll see how it plays once those numbers are out, John.
Is NVIDIA right now, Mike, in a class of its own in the sense that it's been an enormous...
Yo, this is crazy. So it looks like, Weiss Ratings Crypto is a rating agency. They only have Bitcoin and Chainlink as A+ ratings. Ethereum is actually rated a B. So you have Bitcoin, then you have Chainlink, then you have Ox. I don't know what that is. Cardano, Ethereum, Polygon. Status, Aave. That's crazy. So Chainlink is rated above, has a rating above Ethereum.
Tesla, the market cap was surging because the market was giving Tesla credit for stuff that it hadn't yet achieved in the far distant future.
Okay, Mike Santoli, we'll see you later this hour. After the break, much more on NVIDIA with results just minutes away. We're going to bring you all of the key numbers as soon as they cross.
And Medtronic getting a healthy boost today, turning positive for the year after the $100 billion medical device maker topped estimates and upped its full year forecast. CEO Jeff Martha is going to join us to talk about the quarter when overtime comes right back.
All right, still waiting. We're still waiting here. But yeah, Tesla and NVIDIA are very sharply correlated, which is why I am very bullish on Tesla, because if NVIDIA goes higher, Tesla goes higher, because the Qs go higher, and Tesla's catalysts are barely starting to hit. And out of the Mag 7, Tesla has been suppressed the most. So yeah, so now we have, look, I'm just throwing some Chainlink stuff out there. Chainlink rated A+ rating, only Bitcoin and Chainlink. Also, Kraken is being Kraken is, what is it? This Solana listed as security. So all these Kraken is being investigated, not investigated, but being, I don't know, what do you call this? Either way, it's looking like a lot of these crypto assets are being deemed as securities. The only two are actually the only three that are not deemed securities are Bitcoin, Ethereum, and Chainlink. You have Cardano, Solana, Matic, Filecoin, every other coin is deemed a security except for Chainlink. Dude, this is so bullish. I'm telling you guys, Chainlink, Bitcoin, Ethereum. But Chainlink's a $8 billion market cap, where Bitcoin's what, 800, 700 billion. Ethereum's about 250 billion, somewhere around there. So Chainlink is A+ rating. This is like buying Bitcoin at $100. You know, in general, this is just my opinion. So yeah, that's a lot of bullish news there. I don't know who they are, but that's pretty bullish for the Chainlink ecosystem. Not only does NVIDIA need the perceived crypto Bitcoin proof of work to fend off reality, Moore's law, but I would also contend that NVIDIA needs to perceived AI hype. What? Okay, cool. Man, there's a lot of hype. We might just sell off. There might be too much hype in this market right now. Right now in after hours, it is lifting though. We got NVIDIA lifting in after hours. I don't want to switch over because I don't want the audio to go out. 6 minutes. Okay, okay, we got 6 minutes. All right, cool. We got 6 minutes. We got about 6 minutes before takeoff. So I will actually, let's take a look at the charts. See what the charts are looking like. Anyways, where do you guys think the market goes? Higher, lower? Throw it in the comments. Higher, lower, following the earnings. Does it break out? Does it break down? Are you invested? Anybody have any NVIDIA? I don't know who Medtronic is. Anybody own any NVIDIA? So this is what it's looking like right now for NVIDIA in after hours. These are all-time highs pretty much. We've sold off early, starting to climb. Medtronic, I don't know who that is. So far we're lifting in after hours. Whew, this is going to be tricky, man. This is going to be tricky. A lot of FOMO here. Let's go to that 1 minute chart actually. You own 100 shares. Dang, okay, of NVIDIA. Where is your average price at, Hassan? Average price for NVIDIA. There's no way, man. There's just no way. I mean, I don't know. We don't know where the stock price goes today. It might. You always have like an initial like move. Uh-oh, earnings alert. Is that NVIDIA? No. I said 6 minutes. Heading into NVIDIA earnings Q4, don't expect too many shockwaves, but it is possible. You might get a shock here. You might get a shock just because there's so much AI demand. If revenue estimates are beat again, it's going to be insane. It'll break down since I bought calls today. That's funny. Thad Barker. That's how it always is, right? You buy puts, it goes higher. You buy calls, it goes lower. You do nothing, it goes higher. 185. Bro, you got in at 185. Smashing it. You're smashing it there. That's what's up. And rates are, this is like the perfect scenario. You have rates coming down, right? You got the end of the rate hiking cycle. NVIDIA is part of the exponential age stocks or technologies because it's supporting AI. It is supporting computing, the next level of computing. I'm not even in NVIDIA. I think it's up too much. I missed it. If you're going to get NVIDIA, you got to get it when it's like oversold. Kind of like Hassan got in. Hassan got in pretty early. But yeah, to finish the day, the dollar ended up lower. So that was a pretty, the dollar started ramping up. What was this morning? And it peaked out after the FOMC minute. So dovishness, great setup here. The Fed said, we talked about this earlier. The Fed said they're only looking at oil. There's no reason to hike rates. It's over. The market is pricing in more hikes. I mean, rate cuts in May. You also have 10-year peaked. Yep, 10-year peaked. NVIDIA better pump. Yeah, 10-year peaked out. Let's see what some other these stocks. Let's go to technology. See what tech's looking like. Who's this? HP. HP earnings in line 90 cents. Okay, cool. I've got 21 shares, but it cost average at 123. Okay, that's what's up. You bought calls, man. You guys are crazy, man. You guys bought calls on earnings day. Who knows? I guess if you put the risk reward. Look at Tesla form. This is very bullish. Tesla forming. Usually when Tesla ends like high of day or near a high of day above VWAP, it's a great bullish setup. Everybody, all eyes on NVIDIA. Here's NVIDIA's price action for the day. Let's see who else we got. AMD, man, AMD launched. AMD has been absolutely killing it. AMD has been killing it. So they finally got that pullback, but it's up a lot. Apple, we had talked about this breakout in Apple. Let's take a step back really quick. Keep my eye on NVIDIA results, making sure we don't miss it. See, Apple formed that. No, let's take that off. See, Apple had that that falling wedge. Like this is a really strong setup, right? This is the bull wedge. Well, flag pattern, right? Goes up, sharp move away from price, starts to flag, bullish setup, boom, breakout. Apple's saying, hey, we're going much higher from here. What up from Twitch? How you doing? Twitch, got my first Twitcher. Looking at what up? How old are you? I always think the Twitch people are very young compared to the YouTubers. Interested in getting into some stocks, huh? Or crypto. Let's see ARK. ARK's looking pretty good too. I mean, that was a pretty good bottom on ARK. That's the Head and Shoulders too. Look at that. There's your shoulder. This is always like an accumulation pattern. And then you get that breakout on ARK. Zoom's probably get a Zoom. Zoom's finally doing well, but I'm sized into Tesla. Anybody want to see how much I'm sized into Tesla? I'm pretty sized in. There we go. I'm up 56% right now on these calls. I've been scaling in these calls. 10 contracts. Over 262 is where I really get the alpha. Options really start to kick in. I've been scaling in this for a while. I think Tesla breaks out. Yeah, these expire in February. So that's my position for Tesla. Trying to trade this. They should be coming out in like 3 minutes, honestly. They should be coming out in like 3 minutes. Here, I'll kick it back to, I bet you they're going to be ready right now. Let me know if you guys can hear this.
In the guide, that's what's important. And presumably it's going to go up. The question is how much, right? I mean, so that's
Price
what everybody's going to watch for. And it looks like the numbers just hit, actually.
Okay, here
So
we go.
We'll see where it is. But that's the number that's going to be most important,
Can you guys
the data
hear?
center number.
Okay. It looks like it is crossing. We do have the stock up 1% right now. Our team is going through those results. We're going to bring them as quickly as we can. In the meantime, James, what are you watching for?
Yeah, I'm also looking for data center. That's where their margins are the biggest. But, this is a need for speed. It's a race to get these data centers running as fast as possible. And we think they're probably likely to beat here because the customer base has got a ton of money, Microsoft, Google, Meta, and they've got that.
Getting smashed. Yep. Uh-oh. 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 Big sell-off on NVIDIA.
Revenues of $18.12 billion. That's almost $2 billion more than what the street was anticipating on EPS, earnings per share of 402. So again, that is 402 adjusted, almost a 70-cent beat again. And then for Q4 revenue guidance, that's an important number, $20 billion. That's what the company is estimating, $20 billion. The estimate was 17.86. And then last but not least, data center revenue, since it drives most of this, the estimate was coming in at $13 billion, and data center revenue came in actually at $14.5 billion. So a beat on all of those metrics, and yet the share or the stock price is dropping 4%. So I'll go through it and come back with more.
All right, Christina, thanks. James, I'm going to let you finish because we have the numbers now. Beat and a raise expected, beat and a raise delivered. Was the bar just that high?
Yeah, I think the bar is high, but again, the demand, the need for speed across these data centers, and I'm really looking forward to hearing the conference call if a lot of the sales were in that space. But there's a lot of deep pocket customers out there that are willing and need to spend this money. So I think it's really important in all these conversations about NVIDIA and AI and this need for speed that we're early in the cycle. I think when people get concerned about the stock's movement, they have to realize this this is a multi-year transformational change in technology, and we're really at the early stages, and they are at the pole position. I'd like to say they're the only game in town, or as we like to call them, the Magnificent One.
Well, we're also in the early stages of the after-hours action. Stacey, the stock initially moved higher, then it moved a lot lower. Now it's kind of in the middle. It's only, it's down 2%. But what's particularly important to hear color-wise on the call? Is it really about, I think you mentioned demand and the degree to which NVIDIA understands exactly how these chips are being put to use right now versus how many might be stockpiled?
Yeah, again, the question is, like I said, the numbers, like I said this earlier, the numbers get so big so quickly, people wonder about sustainability. And so we'll want to get some better feeling for how much visibility they have in terms of like how long are their cycle times, how involved are they in the deployments. And by the way, I do think they're very involved in those deployments. I don't think they're just like throwing GPUs over the wall, right? I think they know, but anything they can give us on that. The other,
well, you got to beat top, bottom line, and guidance up. The stock is just up a lot. So looks like it's bearish. Got up to what, 509? Was that all-time high? Not exactly. 509. Got down to 468. A lot of volatility. A lot of those. It could be that these call options get smashed, get drowned out, right? The call options might just get washed out. I mean, it's picking back up 493. It is moving. Stock is moving.
Side it, even as it earns hand over fist here.
Yeah, Morgan, great question. And that is certainly a concern. Can they keep up with this incredible demand? And I think that this is where you have a company that's extremely well managed. I mean, Jensen really knows this business, knows it well. And I think that's where, as a stockholder, shareholder ourselves, we really want to look at management. Can they maneuver their way through this transformational change?
Can't get above VWAP. So NVIDIA, my bad. NVIDIA beat top, bottom line, and guided higher. Stock sold off initially. Now it is rebounding back above previous day close, getting stuck at VWAP. So it looks like the institutions are selling it off. Maybe it'll take that earnings call. Dang, it's pushing up right back to 498. So a lot of volatility.
It actually came in higher than expected, 75%, but it was in.
Okay, hold on.
Yeah,
Let's hear
so
this.
just going through gross margins, which shows how efficient a company is in converting revenues into profit. For Q3, gross margins actually came in higher than expected, 75%, but it was interesting for Q4. The outlook they're putting forward is 74.5. So yes, that's higher than what the street was anticipating, but that's showing a decrease from Q3. So the question is, have they plateaued in their efficiency? The other factor, gaming was weak for AMD, but we're seeing gaming come in stronger for NVIDIA, beating estimates at $2.86 billion for Q3. And then automotive, another, I guess, weaker segment we've seen across the chip space. Automotive actually came in lower than street estimates, 261 million. Estimates were 263 million. So those are two just little added caveats for this company, but it was a top and bottom line beat, strong revenue guidance for Q4. John?
Christina, thanks. Stacey, are mid-70s margins anywhere near sustainable, or does that just reflect the scarcity and really high demand for NVIDIA chips right now?
Yeah, so remember the pro forma gross margin guide is actually 75.5. So the gap number was 74.5. The pro forma is 75.5. So it is up a little bit. No, I think that it's just a reflection of the mix of the business. Data center itself has very high margins. Most of the revenues are data center, and so I mean that's what's driving this, right? I mean, clearly they're getting a lot, very high ASPs for these parts. There's a lot of value add. People are willing to pay for them. It will be interesting over time, especially as the software story, and people aren't even talking about software anymore, but there's a longer term software leg to this narrative as well. You're probably waiting for that to see gross margins go materially higher than this. There's not, once you're in the mid 70s, you can't really go that much higher, but software itself, like, probably is a mechanism over time to take gross margins higher, assuming that the current levels of data center mix within the business can hold at these levels.
Okay, Stacey, I'm going to ask you a question we've asked you in the past, the recent past. Stock's up 240%. It's down fractionally on these results. Do you buy here?
I think you have to own it. Like I always say, you need a strong stomach with this one. Like it has its ups and its downs, and I've covered it for many years, and we've seen a number of those kind of peaks and valleys over the years. But at the end of the day, like if you believe,
here's a quick look.
At the end of the day, if you believe that the long-term opportunity is large.
Here's the quick look at what we're seeing here. NVIDIA obviously beats adjusted EPS. They beat earnings per share pretty significantly. Revenue beat by $2 billion. That's pretty good. Gaming revenue barely beat, but they still beat gaming revenue. Automotive, they missed on automotive revenue because Tesla's eating that up. No, I'm just kidding. So it looks like that was the only miss. Automotive revenue, they did miss. Data center revenue, they beat. They raised guidance on fourth quarter guidance, and they don't have automotive. They don't have gross margins on here, but they also beat on margin estimates. So they smashed everything except for automotive revenue due to rates, right? So the expectation is if rates are done from here, rates go higher. Rates start to ease, then you probably see that revenue come back significantly. Did Tesla start pumping? No, I'm just kidding.
Or maybe the investors are confused about the analyst report.
Let's take a look at the stock. It is. Oh yeah, you guys can see it up there, huh? If I switch over.
Okay, we're going to go back to Christina Partsinevelos, who has more on NVIDIA. Christina.
Yeah, I'm going through the CFO commentary, and there is a whole section on the China-U.S. export restrictions. I should say the U.S. export restrictions for China. We know that China contributes 20 to 25% of NVIDIA's data center revenue. In this, they say, quote, "We expect that our sales to these destinations being the China region, will decline significantly in the fourth quarter of fiscal 2024, though we believe the decline will be more than offset by strong growth in other regions." So although they said there was no near-term impact in Q3, they do believe there'll be a significant decline in Q4, which we're currently in right now, and maybe it'll be offset by other regions.
And the stock is up almost, around 0.5%. So life comes at you fast in overtime. Our thanks to Stacey Raskin and James Demmert.
And they're still putting up a stronger forecast, a stronger Q4 outlook than what the street expected, despite that commentary about China.
Yeah, than the average expectation, but they had to.
Average expectation.
They had
consensus.
to because come on, right? This is like Jordan in the '90s. Like if you don't get more than 30 points, more than 40 points in a game, people are like, oh, does he have the flu? What's going on? Jensen doesn't have the flu. Well, we're going to have much more on NVIDIA throughout the show, including the first take on results from Neuberger Berman's tech expert.
And up next, a first on CNBC interview you do not want to miss. Coinbase CEO Brian Armstrong with his first reaction to the CZ pleading guilty to federal charges and stepping down as chief of Binance news that we just got a short while ago. Stay with.
All right, so it looks like total NVIDIA beat top line, bottom line. They beat most of the revenue except for they beat gaming. They missed automotive. They beat data centers. They raised guidance. They see fourth quarter China weaker. They see fourth quarter China weaker, but they did say that they will make up for that. And that has a lot to do with the geopolitics also. Let's take a look at the stock chart. It did get back to the highs, starting to sell off now. Let's take a look at the chart. So I don't know, man. Is it a buy? Is NVIDIA a buy? What do you guys think? There we go. Looks like it can't get above VWAP. There's your VWAP. It is selling off. This might look like a little bit like Apple, right? Where they beat most of the guidance estimates and well, they raised guidance. The problem is they missed automotive. Well, the real problem is the stock's up a lot, right? It's already up a lot, so there has to be a lot of digestion. Looks like over 510. What was the all-time high? 510? Oh, it actually did make an all-time high at first. So 510 looks like it's going to be the big level to get past. So here we are. NVIDIA earnings. Thoughts on earnings? Anybody inside NVIDIA? Let's see what Tesla's doing. Did Tesla sell off into that? Tesla slid. Dang, Tesla slid right off the bat. Probably had the cues. Dang, the NVIDIA is moving the cues. This is it. NVIDIA moving the cues. 519 is the all-time high. Oh, okay, 519. Must have missed that one. See if there's anything else. What do we got from... Shoot, yeah, they beat. They beat, but again, stocks at all-time highs, right? Look at the 4-hour chart. Is that what it is? 4-hour chart. Dang, man. This is going to make a big move on the Qs. Moved Meta too. Google. Let's see, it's kind of wedging at the moment. What up, Tigger Media? What up, Isaiah? That's my brother right there, Isaiah Fielder. I'm Jeremy Fielder. He's Isaiah Fielder. He's the brains of the operation. I'm just the mouthpiece. I'm just the mouthpiece. So CZ stepping down is bullish for the Bitcoin ETF. That's what I heard. That's what I heard. I don't know exactly how or why. Look at the 4-hour chart for that. Yeah, okay. What did you say? BTC liquidity will leave Singapore and come to the US. Hold on, what are these?
With the significance of what John just mentioned, Binance and C.
Okay, yeah, we're moving on. We're moving on. Nvidia's at 495. It's looking pretty solid. It is looking solid. Let's hear what Brian Brooks is saying, the CEO of Coinbase at the moment. You say BTC liquidity will leave Singapore and come to the US. Is that where Binance's headquarters are at? Wow, that's very bullish for Coinbase, number one. Very bullish for the Bitcoin ETF. Because now I'm guessing domestic, not domestic, but other institutions that are non-US based are going to have to go through the Bitcoin ETF. Maybe this was the setup all along. Maybe this was the setup. That just seems like a huge bottleneck for Bitcoin at the moment. Isaiah, I don't know if you heard what I said earlier. Chainlink was rated an A rating. And Chainlink was rated by this crypto agency who's been in since 2018 as an A rating above Ethereum. It's just Bitcoin and Chainlink at an A rating. Plus, it's not a commodity. I mean, it's not a security yet. So that's pretty big. Let's hear what this fool's saying. Mr. Brian Brooks.
Easy pleading guilty. What is the impact on your company, Coinbase, and the industry here?
Yeah, well, for us at Coinbase, I mean, this is really a vindication of the long-term strategy that we've taken to focus on compliance, make sure we were building a trusted company. And I have to tell you, over the last 10 years since we've been doing that, it has been frustrating at times. We've seen competitors come on the scenes and not take that approach. Sometimes they're able to offer products that we didn't think was legal. And in this environment, we're seeing that regulators are finally acting and they're creating that level playing field. So I think this is vindicating of our strategy, and I think it's good for the industry too to sort of turn the page, make sure that we're following the laws where it's clear today around AML and KYC, and then also make sure that we're getting clarity about the areas of the law where it's not yet clear in terms of commodities, securities, and there's new legislation on the horizon that I think Congress can help with there.
And Brian, so the DOJ just held this press conference. They talked about some of the awful, really, use cases for crypto. They talked about terrorist financing, transactions that facilitate child sexual abuse. How is the industry going to move on from that? Really, the dark side of crypto, some of the nefarious use cases at a time when this industry is also gaining legitimacy on Wall Street. There's a lot of hope for an ETF. How is the industry going to move on to become more legitimate, especially in light of what happened today?
Yeah, well, centralized services in cryptocurrency, just like custodians and exchanges, I mean, they need to be following the exact same rules that exist in traditional financial services to be looking out for that type of criminal behavior. And one thing I think a lot of people don't realize is that if you look at the best third-party data out there, less than 1% of activity in crypto is for illicit purposes like those that you just described. By the way, the US dollar cash is about 4% used for illicit activity. So crypto is certainly not unique in that a small percentage of bad actors try to use it. That's why we at Coinbase, for instance, have really strong transaction monitoring programs, and we've invested a lot in these programs around KYC and AML. But the centralized actors need to follow those rules. I think we saw that Binance in this case was not maybe following those rules as well as they should have. But the decentralized aspects of crypto are probably going to be regulated differently. They're protocols, they're self-custodial wallets. And so the industry needs to figure out how it can apply those rules with regulatory clarity, not just in the U.S., but these offshore unregulated exchanges as well. These may become law in the United States, but we're going to keep trying that, and I feel confident that the U.S. is going to get it right eventually.
And so, Brian, Coinbase has not been immune from its own legal troubles. Can you give us any sort of update on the legal battle with the SEC? The SEC has sued Coinbase for what it says is an unregistered broker. Does any of the action today impact the way you think about your own legal battle with U.S. regulators?
Yeah, well, obviously it's important for people to remember that these two things are apples and oranges. Ours is a civil case over some technical issues about what is a commodity and security. And as I mentioned, we're availing ourselves of the court here to go create that regulatory clarity for the industry. And so almost regardless of the outcome, at least we'll finally start to have some clarity from the court. The Binance case here was a criminal matter, obviously, with much different facts and circumstances and a huge dollar amount that is quite a bit different. But look, I think the important thing for people to remember here is that 52 million Americans have used crypto now, 400 million people globally, roughly. This technology is not going anywhere. More Americans have used, like 5 times as many Americans have used this technology as have an electric vehicle, for instance. And so we have a real opportunity with this technology to update the financial system, make it faster, less expensive for people, more efficient, more fair, more global. And that's going to bring an incredible amount of positive aspects to the global economy and to people all over the world. So although it's the early days, and unfortunately that lack of clarity, we saw some bad actors, try to take advantage of the situation. This industry remains very strong, and it's just going to get better over time as we see things like layer 2 solutions, adding scalability into crypto. We see ETF applications out there to launch. So I'm very optimistic on next year. Now that we've turned the page here on some of these regulatory issues, we can get back to building.
Brian, it's great to get your reaction and your perspective on all of this. As you mentioned, key differences in what is going on with Binance and Coinbase, but it's really great to get your thoughts on this. Morgan, we will send it back over to you in the studio.
All right.
Okay. NVIDIA, let me see if there's anything interesting before we moved back to NVIDIA. NVIDIA's revenue triples as AI chip boom continues. I think that's it. The AI chip boom continues. I think this is the whole CZ shutdown is bullish for Bitcoin. Also today is, I don't know if people know, will I listen to the conference call? No, I'm not going to listen to the conference call. I won't do that. So I just wanted to do the earnings. Sorry to disappoint you, but I will not be doing the conference call. Just the price action, just some macro stuff. Hopefully you enjoyed it though. When does the conference call start? Is that like in an hour? I think that's where you're going to see the rest of the price action. By the way, if we do take a look at the price right now, it is wedging in after hours. So it's that wedge is telling us, hey, they want to hear guidance going forward. Look at that wedge really setting up here. 2 p.m. Oh, it's 2 p.m. Okay, I see what you're saying. I want to pump. There's a lot of demand. We'll see. We'll see how things shake out here. I mean, they crushed it on the earnings. They beat top line, bottom line revenue, beat margins. They only missed on the what? Auto. So you have gaming. They beat. You have automotive. They missed. You have even, which is more importantly, the more important segment is data centers. They beat. A little weaker in China in fourth quarter. Could be because of the geopolitics. So yeah, it looks like I don't know. It might sell off. My guess is if we look at support, let's do a little bit of the technicals. Got right back down to that previous level. Actually, let's flip over here to the bigger chart. Take a look at NVIDIA on this bigger chart. I think it's holding in 490. What did it get down to? 482 in after hours? Let's see. We got down to 468. Ooh, 468. So what does 468 give us? 468 is that the previous high? Even, yep, previous high. So it came back down to that previous high, which isn't too bad. That's still the breakout point. That is still pretty much the breakout point. So it came back, checked this level, holding that level at the moment. This is the daily chart, but here's what it's looking like in after hours. You basically got that shot down. So we'll see if it can support this. That was the previous level, previous important level. Who knows? The Fed is easing, so we'll see how that plays out. Financial conditions index is starting to ease a little bit, so that looks good. We did get, we got the retest. We'll see if that holds up. Back to that 1 minute chart, see what it's looking like. It is wedging here. It's probably the conference call that we're looking for. I think it's a conference call. Yeah, we're looking for that conference call. All right, well, I'm not doing the conference call, but I appreciate you guys joining the stream. We do macro if you're new, macro, technicals, fundamentals. We just got NVIDIA push out a really good earnings number. They crushed it, but the stock is up a lot. So psychologically, you might get the short squeeze out. I think we could come back down to the previous level. That will bring down the NASDAQ for a while. But again, there's a lot of macro tailwinds right now. The dollar's falling, yields are falling. There's a lot of demand for AI. What else? Who is this? Earnings alert for who? Okay, countdown to the call. Yeah, I'm not doing the call. Anyways, I appreciate you guys. Be on tomorrow. Thanks for the subs. Thank you guys for subbing. We finally hit 1K. Let's give that shout out for 1K subs. Appreciate you guys supporting the channel. See, where's my shout out button? I need to get that stream deck going. Got the 1K subs. Never stop. Don't stop. Just got to do it. The doing's got to get doing. All right. Well, there we are. We'll come back to the market. We'll talk about the earnings call if anything changes tomorrow. Let me see. Tomorrow is Wednesday. Any significant news? Any significant macro that we need to look out for? Let me check out, see if we have anything. Any significant macro in the morning that you guys might want to look out for. Let's double check the earnings, or not the earnings, but the macro calendar. Where's the macro calendar at? All right, let's check this out. This is a really easy website you can go to, tradingeconomics.com. If you want to see, if I were you, I would clear all this. Go to that Earth or that globe icon, click it, clear everything. I mean, unless you're not in the US, and then just go to the United States. Obviously, that's where the big macro's at, and then it'll give you this whole calendar, right? So today we had Chicago. Man, I didn't even see this Chicago National Index. Still very negative. Still very negative. So that tells us that the economy is slowing. The Fed is done hiking. Existing home sales, we didn't go over that, still falling. FOMC minutes, dovish. And then going until tomorrow, we got durable good orders in the morning. Durable good orders right before the market opens, about an hour. Durable good orders. We'll see where those are at. Have those been climbing? Those are pretty strong last month. Initial claims. Not a whole lot of big macro. Michigan and consumer expectations. Nothing big. No, we don't have anything big until next week on the 30th. We get GDP. Oh, no, 29th. We get GDP quarter over quarter. It's set at 2.1 is the expectation. 2.3, 2.2, whatever. And then we get core PC. That is the next big catalyst. Thank you guys for joining. As always, stay blessed. Get your workout. Stay healthy. Keep a growth mindset. Stay blessed. All glory to God. We'll catch you next time. Thank you for joining.